Welcome to the Saturday Night Athens podcast. We are coming to you live for the pregame show from Sweet Auburn BBQ here in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to the show tonight. Our first time doing a live on-site show. Glad to have y'all with us. Co-host James Kim with me as always. Brother, doing something new tonight. I'm jacked up about it.
Yeah, looking good, man. Looking good. Nice venue looks like. Heard you had some good food, some good good egg rolls. Was that what I heard?
Yeah, man. Had egg rolls, had pimento cheese wontons. It's all been outstanding.
Ooh, pimento cheese wontons. That sounds delicious.
Let me just tell you this, homie. I'd cut you for one of them things. They were outstanding. Yeah, they were out of bounds. So yeah, it was great. Venues out, really, really cool. Love the neighborhood too. So look, if you're in the area right now, come out. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Have these bad boys that I picked up from Tom Sepp himself today. Check out the green posters. Looking fresh. Tom's work is top notch as usual. So yeah, we're having a great time. Everything's all decorated in here. It's great. Atmosphere is going to be really good. And, we're going to watch the Dogs take care of the Wildcats all night. So we, on purpose, didn't really dive into the game on the preview show this week because we knew we were going to be doing this. So I want to talk to you about a few things. And part of it is I want to rewind to their game from last week against South Carolina. And obviously South Carolina's game today, they had a big matchup against LSU after game day was there. Quite the game. South Carolina ended up losing that ball game. But I think probably a mix of two things, and we talked about this a little bit on the preview show this week, but probably a mix of South Carolina being better than we anticipated they were going to be, and also Kentucky not probably being as good as we thought they would be. I was a little taken aback with how, I don't know any other word to use, brother, but their offense was last weekend. I mean, I think they only threw the ball 13 or 14 times collectively and then ran it over 40 times. And look, some of that was South Carolina's pass rush, I think. Kentucky's O-line is beat up, so I think that led into kind of how they called plays last week. But I mean, look, if you're a Kentucky fan and you have this Georgia defense coming to Lexington tonight against that offensive line, given what they have shown, I'm just telling you, honey, I know we say this every week, but it is a bad day to be Wild. It is going to be a long, long night if you're wearing blue.
Yeah, I agree. I watched the majority of the South Carolina LSU game today, and I mean, South Carolina's defensive line made LSU's offensive line look pretty bad. I mean, Will Campbell, they're talking about him being a top 5, top 10 pick, and he had some rough plays today against that. I think his last name's Walker, number 5 for South Carolina. I mean, he looked good. And really, until South Carolina got the running game, until LSU got the running game going, they really couldn't do much. And, I mean, LSU found this true freshman running back today that really looked good as well. But until they started feeding him, their offense was stagnant. And I don't think Kentucky has that type of dynamic player on their team to really do anything. We talk about it every week, who scares you on that offense. Really don't think there is anybody. They don't have a Ray Davis anymore. Ray Davis plays for the Bills now. So, I don't know. I just don't see anything on Kentucky's team that really makes me nervous tonight.
I think that's a great point. And that is exactly what we say, is if we're looking at the opposing offense, who scares you? Who are you going, hey, man, we can't let this guy beat us, or we can't let this guy do X, Y, and Z. I go back to the Mizzou game last year, and we were obviously talking a ton about Luther Burden. You're just talking about, like, an electric game changer, which Mizzou had a little battle today with the Eagles from BC. But, yeah, I totally agree with that, man. There's just nobody on that Kentucky team that you're worried about stretching the field. And so, absent the Dogs having a ton of self-inflicted wounds, whether that be penalties, turnovers, whatever it may be, I just don't see how this is that close of a ball game. And I know everybody falls back on. And look, man, for many seasons, you and I have been on the Mark Stoops train about how what he does at Kentucky is probably as impressive as anybody in the country, because let's not get it twisted, y'all. It's a basketball school. Okay? So for them to be competitive in football and to put a good product on the field like they've been doing, Mark Stoops doing a great job. And I think the problem this year is the Jimmys and Joes just ain't what he needs to be. And I think the big one, and we talked about this a little bit, but it's the hog mollies,
Yeah.
They don't have the guys up front, the meat that is going to be able to push guys off the line of scrimmage and all these different things. And so, absent that, man, I don't know what they are. Um, I will say that South Carolina game, the final score is somewhat deceiving from the perspective of it was 10-6 game at halftime.
Yeah.
So Kentucky was grinding it out. They were in that ball game. I think they were pretty aware that throwing the football was going to be a problem. Dude, it's just I don't get it. Like I don't get how in the year of our Lord 2024 we got programs saying, yeah, we're not going to throw the football more than like 17 times. It ain't going to work, dude.
Unless
It's
you're an
just not.
academy school, that's not going to work.
Nope. It's not going to work, man. And I really thought, and maybe they will tonight a little more, but I don't know. I figured with Brock's tool set, using his legs and trying to feature that would be the play, but I guess maybe that's a little more difficult when you don't really have to respect the passing game, and I just don't think that's a threat. I mean, they do not have a guy where you're going, oh god, he's going to take a stop off this. So it's a different animal, and I think they're going to struggle tonight. That's the long and short of it. It's going to be a long night.
Well, I don't want to defend Brock or bash Brock one way or another, but I think part of the problem is that they can't develop any plays because their offensive line is banged up and can't protect him. I mean, what I didn't watch much of the South Carolina game. I went back and watched it late after the fact because I just was so shocked at the score. And Brock wasn't even getting 3 seconds to survey the field before he was decked. It was like 1.7 to 2.2 in the first half. I didn't even really bother much with the second half other than the highlights. But in the first half, I mean, he was just getting killed. And he was running for his life. I mean, he was either flushed or hit really quickly. So, and that's – now, granted, we talked about South Carolina's defensive line is a lot better than we expected it to be. But we know how good Georgia's defensive line is.
There you go.
So even without Michael, Georgia's going to be putting some pressure on him.
Yeah, so let's pivot on that and talk about Georgia, okay? Because let's talk about what they can control, and let's talk about their defense. Who are you looking at, given Kentucky's offensive line? Who are you looking at to have big games?
I mean, I think you got to look at number 11. I think he's been the one. If they're going to be putting pressure on the quarterback, if they're going to try to throw the ball, you got to be looking at number 11. Also, you got to be looking at him for setting the edge, because if they're going to be trying to run the ball, they're not going to be able to run the ball up the middle against this Georgia team because their interior line is what's the struggle. Their tackles aren't terrible. Their interior line, though, because I think it's their left guard, he was an All-American last year somewhere along the line. I don't know if it was first, second, or third, but he's really good, and he's out, and he may miss the whole season. So I think that they're going to have to run wide. They don't have the speed, but if we don't set the edge, that could be a problem. So you're looking at Jalen Walker and Chaz Chambliss to have big days today, setting the edge and getting pressure when they do decide to pass.
Yeah, man, I'll be honest. Jalen was who came to mind for me. That was the name that was in my head. So I think he can have a really big day today. And look, Michael's absence gives him an opportunity to really flash and to really assert himself as I'm going to need more reps. Which I feel like in the Oregon game, I mean in the Clemson game, even when they had Michael, they were still rotating that out a lot. So like I feel like we'll see. I don't know that anybody's going to get bulk snaps like Satan would at different programs, but yeah, I think he'll have a big game tonight. I want to see KJ again. Man, he's becoming now. He's who I'm looking at when they're playing defense. I want to see what he's going to do and see if he can make a play. Let's talk too, okay? It's the uncomfortable thing to talk about, but Daniel Harris obviously gets himself into some trouble on Thursday night. Another drive on a late offense, which just can't happen. I mean, we're just past it. I mean, it's got to stop. But I doubt he sees the playing field tonight, right? So
yeah,
he fills in at the corner spot. Who gets those reps instead? I think that's something to watch tonight. And in all honesty, probably not the worst game for some guys to get some run, because I think it's one of those. I hate to say it this way, it's going to be more of a kid gloves type game in the past if we're having an honest conversation. So
yeah, I think we'll probably see some more Ellis. I mean, Ellis has gotten run in both games, but I think we may see him more in the steady rotation earlier on, because he's got run at the end of the games, not in the when it mattered. So, but I think we may see him earlier on. But I mean, it's just at this point you have to know, like you have to do better. Just do better.
Got to.
So
It's one of those things as a program, like top to bottom, players go to their body. It's just got to be one of those things. Like, look, we know all the eyeballs are on us. We got to be locked up. Like, we just got everything tight, and it has
set
to
the
be.
cruise on 5 miles below the speed limit.
Yeah.
Just,
It's got to stop. And look, this is the other part of it is from a selfish perspective. Not only could it hurt somebody, but just from a pure football perspective, it's going to hurt the football. You're going to take yourself out of the game and not be able to contribute. So all around, it's just bad. And dude, the details came out a little bit. Speed was not good.
Not good.
Not good. So anyways, I mean, yeah, not something we want to talk about. We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. So, yeah, the other I thought Janelle looked good last week as well. So I'm excited to see him again. I think having some flexibility there where you can play around with him and Malachi at the star, like, dude, more the merrier. So, yeah, defense, man, I'm telling you, and
You're solid, man. And
I'm laughing because I'm hesitant to keep saying this, but brother, I'm just telling you what I see in my own eyes. It looks a lot like 2021 from a speed. There's just so much speed everywhere on the field on the defensive side. But we all know 928 is the measurement stick. It ain't tonight, but 928 is the night. So we're gonna find a whole lot out that night. Tough environment. They went into Wisco and took care of their business today. Camp Randall was got quiet quick.
Got quiet quick, yeah.
Got quiet quick. Yeah.
As soon as Van Dyke went down, that stadium was, you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Tyler Van Dyke getting hurt didn't really help anything with that game. But let's talk about the offense a little bit. I want to hear who you're looking at tonight, who you want to watch, who you want to see. I'm gonna give you a guess on who you think mine is, and we'll see if it fits.
I want to see two. There's two I want to see. I want to see. I don't think Delp's going to play, so I want to see how they utilize Lawson Lucky because I thought he looked really good last week. So I want to see. I want to see how he looks against some better competition. I also want to see how we start to get London Humphreys more involved in the offense. I like how we've gotten him involved so far, but I want to see him get some more run.
Yeah.
I mean, let me guess. Your guy is who's looked the best he's looked in his entire career, number 11.
Nail in the head, baby. We're right here. Yeah, that's exactly who I was going to say. I'm interested to see if they keep involving him like they have the first 2 weeks, right? We're seeing more, I think, the evolution of Arian from where before it was, this is just going to be a big hitter, to now he's involved in the offense. And in some ways, and I'm not making this comparison, okay? So don't get this twisted. I'm just saying this is how I could foresee him being. Arian got a little Percy. You could use him like Urban used to use Percy Hart. You could get him on some jet sweeps, which they've done. That's how they opened the country. They're starting to work him now more in the short and mid range, and I would be a little surprised if tonight they don't take a shot and try to hit it. So of course I'm looking on my level. But dude, Lawson Lucky's a really good one. That's a great one to pull out because I think he can be a weapon. I mean, he is a mismatch problem. Size, speed, hands, all of it. So that's a really good one. How about London Humphrey's a good pull too. I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, had the big catch in the opener.
Those are great.
So that's a good one. For me, I want to see again more how Dylan Bell goes. Because I think we anticipated that he was going to function in a lot of ways like a Swiss Army knife. And I would say it hasn't quite been that way yet. Like, am I over exaggerating that, or has he been less involved than you anticipated?
Well, as far as Swiss Army knife goes, I don't think they needed him to be. So he hasn't needed to be in the backfield. So he hasn't needed to be a running back. He's been just involved as a receiver as he was last year, I feel like. Like he's getting probably about 3 to 4 targets a game, which is about his average from last year. The ball is being spread out so much, which is just how it always is. And he just hasn't had that wow play that he was getting pretty much, it seemed like, every game the last, like, 5 or 6 games last year. So I think that may be why you feel that way, but I feel like he's just as involved as he was last year at this point. It's just not – there's not that play where it just sticks in your head.
And that's a fair point. That's an absolutely fair point. I mean, look, not a lot of tape through 2 weeks, and obviously last week is, not a great evaluator because you're essentially having an organized scrimmage. I mean, for God's sake, they didn't even play a full fourth quarter. I mean, so that's a good point. And in fairness, I think in some ways the coaches are no different than we are as fans. They're figuring out what they got. They're figuring out with the new weapons, the heavier weapons that they do have, where they want things to shift and fit. And I don't think it can be discounted that Ra not being on the team is part of that equation. No, I mean, I think everybody, coaching staff included, felt like he was going to be a big piece of the puzzle. Now he's not that. So I think everybody's kind of shifting a little bit and trying to sow their oats and figure out where they're going to play. How about this? How about the running game? It's obviously going to be week 2 where we get to see Mr. 18 again. And so this time, too, in a, let's just say, live plus game where they're actually playing an SEC opponent and you're going to get some meaningful reps. What's your expectation out of him? Body type. Did they remind you a little bit of DeAndre Swift?
Honestly, he's a lot height-wise, yes, but I feel like he's thicker than Swift.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a little thicker than Swift. Honestly, my first thought when I saw him, and this is gonna, age me a little bit, he looks built like Emmett. That was my first thought when I saw him.
Okay.
He's just that, he's short, compact, thick, really big thighs. Like, that was what I thought. Now, granted, he's much quicker, faster than Emmett ever was, but different generation. But that was my thought process. He's just that short, compact, thick. That's what I thought when I saw him.
I know why you went there. For all the uninitiated, my boy died in the wool, Cowboys fan. Well, especially when we were younger.
Yeah, when we were younger.
I would say it's less that way now. It's more just a general perturbedness.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to root for Dak, being a Mississippi State Bulldog. It's just it's hard. That's hard.
Yeah. But don't get it twisted, y'all. That was my boy's squad.
Yes, it was. It was.
So I love the callback to your favorite Deuce from the childhood days. I'm all right with that. I was not expecting Emmitt Smith appearance on the show today.
Me either. I think it probably comes back to the fact that I've been watching the Florida-Texas A&M game, and I've heard his name a dozen times because every time E.J. Smith touches the ball, he's at Emmitt Smith's stomping grounds because they're playing at the Swamp.
Speaking of that kid.
Man.
Tough. Hey, look, if you're a fan of any team in the state of Florida except for the U, it is capital TOUGH tough for you right now.
Yeah, it really is.
Florida State, not great today, man.
Sorry, great. Jeff.
Sorry. Yeah, tough. It's tough. Really is tough, man. But here's the thing. We talked about this. Quarterback-driven games. They missed on the quarterback. You cannot miss on the quarterback. And so it just is what it is, man. They're in a pickle. A real pickle. You're talking about, we're going from them being ranked in the top 10 to start the season to now legitimately having conversations about whether or not they'll get more over. What's happening?
Yeah.
Also, can we? Let's start. We're gonna come back and talk about the dog, I promise. But I want to talk about it because I think both you and I thought they were frauds, and they went to Columbia, gave Mizzou all they wanted. Bill O'Brien got the BC Eagles playing both.
I watched a good portion of that second half of the game. I was looking back and forth between that and the SC LSU game. And, man, Mizzou's defense is legit. So their defense is good. Okay, so I know we're talking about BC. But I felt like BC, if they could get their BC's defense is really good. We talked.
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? Exactly. But we talked
from?
yesterday about how Mizzou couldn't get Luther Burden the ball. Luther Burden had more catches in the first half than he did all previous 2 games. So, but I feel like that because they were trying to feature him, that their offense got out of sync. When I was watching it, it felt like they kept trying to force feed him the ball, and they just looked lethargic the whole game.
You think Brady's looked tight a little bit? Brady Cook?
He's not running the ball as much. So I feel like, it's just something looks a little off.
Yeah. I don't know. Something ain't right with them. I don't know what it is, man. They just don't seem loose. And we talked about it.
Expectations.
Well, it's more than that, man. That
running back.
Did we figure out if it's Schrager or Schrader? Which one?
I think it's Schrader.
I think that's right. And no disrespect, but he set Mizzou records last year.
Yeah.
I think that was a bigger hole for them to fill than they anticipated. So yeah, that's be interesting. I had a little keen eye on it too because somebody on Twitter, a Mizzou fan, had posted something to the effects of, UGA don't want nothing to do with Mizzou. FAFO. Y'all figure out what that's abbreviated for, but I'm just saying. FAFO. Worry about what you ask for, all right?
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah. Might need to get some shirts to say that. Just FAFO. That'd be
Good
an awesome conversation starter.
Yes, it would.
At the tailgate. Just think on it a second. Yeah. So, okay. Your boy's on a tangent, okay?
Yeah.
Your boy's on a tangent, but I do think that would be a great merch idea. So let's put a pin in that. Let's journal that and put that in a pen, okay? I want to come back to that later. Look, I said this on my promo this morning. Let's call it promo. I was cutting the promo this morning like I'm in the WWF. And yes, WWF, not WWE.
Yes, WWF.
Yes, it still drives me bananas that it's not that. So, which these are the kinds of things that get inside my brain and can't let go of. But I said, dude, Kentucky used to seeing thoroughbreds. They gonna see one tonight, folks. Both sides of the ball, they fixing to see one. What do you think? What do you want to see out of Carson?
I want him to play mistake-free football. Just keep status quo. I don't need to see anything flashy. Just keep it status quo.
I feel like through the first 2 weeks, he has seemed very much in control. Reigns secure. That's what I have felt like. Did you feel like we didn't talk about this? I didn't even text you about this, but did it seem interesting that he came back out in the third quarter last week to get another touchdown?
Yes, I did not expect that at all. I did not expect that at all. I was like, to tie the record. Yeah, I found that very interesting.
It also felt a little, which I know Kirby doesn't do, but felt a little New Yorkish. Felt a little. Let's keep the kid in the conversation here.
And the sad thing is that he's like the forgotten one right now.
He is, man. Well, okay, look. But why is it? Okay. Because we are creatures of recent. Yeah, we're creatures of recency. And so if he comes out 928 and balls out, let me just tell y'all, he's gonna be at the top of the list for the full. So I don't know what to think about Texas. I don't. Oh, speaking of that, did Michigan cover your number today?
I honestly don't know. I didn't bet it. It was just a fun conversation. I don't even know if I put it on tally, to be honest. It was one of those things that scared the crap out of me. The last time I looked, it was 23-7, I think. Now I'm curious. Now I want to know.
All right, speaking of numbers, the last line I saw before we came on was Dawgs 21.5. So you feel like you're fixing to bet the mortgage payment on that? You a little leery of that? Where are you at on that number?
I'm not a mortgage payment person. Like I stick to my units, so to speak, for the gamblers out there. But I would definitely take I would take the minus 21.5 on this. No questions asked. Michigan did not cover 28-18.
You said it. You said it. You picked that out the hat early this week and said, "Hey, if I was going to sprinkle a little real world money somewhere, that might be where I sprinkle it." Yeah,
Arkansas State, good Lord.
that Michigan offense got problems. They got problems.
And I was wrong about Oregon State, though. Good Lord. I'm glad I didn't touch that one either. Oregon's blowing the doors off Oregon State.
Somebody tweeted, "I feel like it's disrespectful that Oregon is wearing their most blasé uniforms for this game."
That's a fair point.
Yeah, which that's great. Yeah, I feel very good about the 21.5. If you were going to give me 2 player props that you like tonight, what you looking at?
Let me see what props we got. Let me pull them up real quick so I can give you a fair assessment of what's going on.
Yeah, let's play a little prop roulette here. Let's see what we got.
All right, give me just a second here. College football. Let's see. We got Carson over 256.5 passing yards.
Oh,
That's interesting. Let's
that's
see what
real
else.
interesting.
Ooh, I like this one. Arian over 2.5 receptions. I like that.
Sign me up. Over. I'll take the over. Take greater, please.
Yeah, it's not a lot for college. So we got Beck over 256.5 passing yards and 19.5 completions. ATN over 71.5 rushing. I like the over 12.5 receiving yards. I like that.
I like that a lot. What's his? Does he have a total yard prop?
Just 71.5 rushing and 12.5 receiving.
Give me the
Not
12.5 receiving for him.
Yeah, I like the 12.5 receiving, and I like the 2.5 receptions for Arian. That's probably what I would touch. Most of the stuff is touchdown props, and I don't like taking touchdown props in college.
Our boy Nate Frazier got no play, no action on the prop board.
He's got an anytime touchdown. That's it.
Anytime touchdown for Nate Frazier?
Yeah.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, they could get down to the 3 and put Branson in. Branson's got an anytime touchdown too.
Tell me there's a prop for Brett Thorson punts, please.
No, there's not. I wish there was. So, in my state, though, I only get them on apps like Prize Picks and stuff. So there might be on like another states that offer them. I don't get them on. I can't bet them straight.
Let's set the number. It would be half.
Yes, it would be. It would be half.
Half.
It would be half. So I think the stats are more interesting on Kentucky's side though. So we've got the over under for Vandegrift passing yards 121.5.
Ooh, I don't know. He didn't hit that last week.
He didn't hit it last week. I'd probably take the under on that. This is interesting. Their wide receiver Key, receiving yards 29.5 and 2.5 receptions. I like the under on both of those.
See, let's as we're talking about these prop numbers for Kentucky's offense, let's rein it back and draw ourselves back to what we talked about on Friday morning. And that is, if you are a Dawgs, take a big old deep breath in and just rejoice that this is your team and this is the time that you are living in. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, no kidding.
Fan. And just thank all that's holy that you are not a Kentucky fan.
So, I mean, one day this streak for Georgia against Kentucky is going to end, just like the Florida streak ended for them. But I don't think it's going to be today.
I got another question. After Dog Nation has invaded the Commonwealth of Kentucky, has world supply of bourbon been affected by this visit for you?
I don't think so. It's Kentucky. They've got a reserve stockpiled somewhere. I think Kentucky will be just fine on their bourbon.
Oh no, brother. Oh no. Them dogs is hell when it comes to some bourbon now.
I don't know, man. It's Kentucky. If it was another state, I'd be damn surprised. But Kentucky, they're probably constantly making it right now. They're working overtime this week in preparation.
All right. I know who we have in front of us. It's Kentucky Wildcats. But while I've got you, and given how they look today and what we're all counting down to, where's your gut got you on this behemoth of a matchup that is pending in Tuscaloosa on September 28th.
I don't like to look too far ahead. They're Jekyll and Hyde. It's really tough. Like, I mean, if you asked me before today, I think the Dogs would have blown the doors off of them even going to Tuskegee. Today, they looked like Alabama. So I don't know. It depends on which Alabama shows up. I think though that as far as Alabama's going to go, they're going to struggle in the passing game. But Ryan Williams, I think his first name's Ryan. It's the true freshman Williams. That dude's legit.
Homie, 17.
17.
17.
Yeah, 17.
Dude.
That kid is amazing.
He ain't nothing but the truth, dude. Nothing but the truth. Yeah.
So that kid, if we can contain him, he's gonna make plays. But if we can contain him, I think we win.
Fixing to be Dalen Everett coming out party, baby.
Man, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think, but it's gonna be one of those things. Like he's gonna be the focal point of our defense that day. Like I don't think this is gonna be any of those things where we're gonna sit back on the rush and not pressure Jalen. I think we'll play our regular defense up front with the 7. I think we'll spy him, but I think we're gonna bracket Williams most of the game. Make someone else beat us.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you about. Is don't you feel like though, from first weekend in December last year to now, that defense is much more equipped to handle the problems that Jalen Miller gave them last year? I do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just feel like you got CJ and you had Braylon that were babies, right? True freshmen. And so they got exposed all day long. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They did. And so it's different now. They're different.
Yeah.
And they both have the speed to cause problems for Jake. So I just think it's a different animal, it's a different matchup. I also think, too, look, who killed us last year? Isaiah Bond. Well, he's in Austin. So,
yeah.
I mean, but to your point, 17 or Williams is true. So he's going to be a problem.
Well, he kind of looks like somebody who used to wear 17 out there. He looks like Waddle. He does.
He sure does. What about? I am interested from. They're at their best when they run football.
Yes.
And so I think that's a part of last year's game and really last year's team that hasn't got talked about as much as probably it should have. And that is the D-line was not game-changing. It was not field tilted. And so that hurt in the Alabama. It was the only game that hurt all year. I think they were the only team equipped to expose it properly.
Yeah.
That has seemed better this year, meaning I felt like, and again, when we say this, it's more talking about what we saw in the Clemson game than it is what we saw at Tennessee Tech. But they looked better, I thought, at the point. I thought they looked sturdier. I thought the linebackers looked cleaner, which I feel like that's always the telltale is, are they clean to run? Are they clean to roam? And it felt like they were. So that's the storyline to watch for me is our D-line against their offensive line on the 28th. I mean, that's what I feel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think our front 6, 7 versus their front 5 will tell the story of the game.
Yeah.
So, and I think hopefully we'll have Michael back by that game, and that'll be a huge get.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So, but I think if he's not back, having these reps for everybody last week and this week is invaluable.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I think, too, maybe we get a little healthier in 2 weeks. I mean, D-line is where they have not been healthy. And so
it feels like everybody's banged up.
That's the nice thing about having this early bye week is you do get to hopefully empty out the infirmary a little bit, and everybody's, come 2 Saturdays.
I will say this. I have been harping on him it feels like since we've been doing the podcast. But big old 93 has been flashing. He looks finally healthy, and man, I've been harping on him I love the kid. I hope that he's finally healthy, and this is what we're going to see from him the rest of the season because he looks legit.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point and a good pull. And he has been. Now, I know what I said. No field tilters last year. He could be that guy.
Yeah.
And Kirby had an interesting quote about him too. He made some comments about we need him to continue to practice a certain way so that when it comes game time, the tank can essentially last the whole game.
Yeah.
It was a very, let's just say, a very articulate way and a nuanced way of saying his ass needs to stay in shape.
So, I mean, he used to say that about Jordan. Remember he
True.
said that about Jordan when Jordan was a junior?
100%. Had to put our boy on a Swedish fish allocation.
Oh, good callback. Good callback.
Yeah. Which I get that. I get that. Jordan made me feel very seen with that. Okay, I get that. Swedish fish. Now, I'll tell you, it would be hard for me to like it. That would be in the pantheon. If we were going road trip, this is one of my favorite questions. If we were going road trip to a Dawgs game, stop at the gas station, you get 4 items from the gas station. What 4 are you pulling? Let's just say that number 1 with a bullet for your boy is a big old bag of Mike and Ice.
Mike and Ice. Every time. Every time.
Oh, yeah.
And if they have the little boxes, heaven help them because you're going to clean their ass out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're going to. I will affect their local supply when it comes to the Mike and Ice. That is 100. What about you, though? What you pulling in that?
Usually lately, as I've gotten older, like in my younger days, I was going for I needed something salt and sweet, so I was going for some jerky.
Time out.
What?
I'm just telling everybody, listen, this list is already fraudulent because he didn't immediately say Monster.
No, dude, I stopped. This shows you how long it's been. I haven't had a Monster since Easter. Easter, man. I quit.
Stop the presses.
Yeah, man, I quit.
Proud of you. So what you to replace it with?
I drink a small cup of coffee in the morning, but I just started doing that like a month ago. Like I went cold turkey, nothing for a while. When school started, I had to start drinking coffee again. Drinking coffee.
They grow up so fast, y'all. They grow up so fast. Well, that's good. I'm proud of you. That's good.
After 12 years, I think it was something.
Yeah.
I usually go for jerky. I usually go for jerky. I got to get some jerky, usually spicy. That's usually my go-to. And then I got to have some sort of chocolate to counteract it at some point.
Like I like on that.
Right now, just Hershey with almond, just basic, nothing fancy. So
you're the guy everybody comes to see when they're trying to empty out that assorted bag that you get from.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love the assorted bag. Mr. Goodbar, Crackle, even love that special dark, man.
Oh, I'll clean you out some Crackle. So.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a full-size Crackle.
That's a good point. Hey guys, how are y'all? If they want to send us one though,
yeah,
we will happily partake. Happily partake.
And here we go with one of our tangents again, folks. We're way off.
This is just a little bit of a navigation into what it looks like on the inside of my brain. Okay, it's just like JoJo, the Indian circus boy with a pretty little pet, just all over the place.
Oh God.
Okay, so parting thoughts. I'm gonna let you go so you can get yourself ready. Get yourself, mix you a little Crown of Coke before everything starts up, or maybe just a Crown on the rocks, depending on how
it'll be Johnny on the rocks tonight.
Oh,
yeah. Give me a little scotch. That's my go-to these days. Got more sophisticated the older I get.
I just told y'all he's growing up. He grows up so fast. My man's getting so big now. So this is what it is for me, okay? I want to see them continue to do what we've seen the first 2 weeks, and that is fly around sideline to sideline, hats to the ball all night. No room to breathe if you're Kentucky. No room. All right. Yeah. I want them to suffocate Kentucky right now. And on offense, what do I text you? What do I say at every single game? Start fast. Start hot, stay hot. That's what I want. Start hot, stay hot. Okay, I mean that's all I want all game is they get rolling and keep rolling. Um, apply pressure, apply pressure, apply pressure. I mean that's it. That's what I want to see. Oh, I'll give you one. You gonna like this? I want to see how much run my boy IOP stand up when Road Freeling gets a right tackle tonight.
Okay.
Because
I'm all
look,
for it.
I'll die on this soapbox, but I believe from a ceiling perspective, he's the guy. Exactly. I think for the Dogs to go where they want to go, he's the guy right there. And that's I'm not saying anything sideways about big number 73. I'm not saying nothing sideways about Trust. Okay? No. I'm just saying that from like a full-on perspective, I think Monroe could be a dude. First
Yeah.
off, he is grown. That boy is grown. Like,
No, I agree.
yeah.
I think the offensive line would function a little bit better. He kind of reminds me when we moved Salyer to guard and put Broderick in at left tackle at the end of the 21 season. I think that
Yeah.
the offensive line could kind of function that way too. But I also
Yeah.
think it needs some time to season, kind of how he needs a little bit more time to season before he's ready to take on the full role.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, and I like that. I think that's fair. I 100% think that's fair. More reps until it's his, and historically, that transition kind of happens around the cocktail party. I feel like that's when JD went full time as a freshman, was around the cocktail party,
Yeah.
and I think then they're not really freshmen anymore. And I know Monroe's a sophomore, but you know what I'm saying from a game perspective. He's getting his footing underneath him. So I think that's a good one. All right, let me get a score from you before I let you go.
Dogs 37-6.
37-6. Okay, 37. That's an interesting total. I get down with that. I'm going to go. 38-3. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at. Yeah,
Still no
38-3.
touchdowns. That's where we're both at. Still no touchdowns.
No touchdowns. I don't think defense giving up a touchdown tonight. Don't think it's happening.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm all for it.
let me give you a call back here, real quick, and I'll let you go. I promise. I'm telling the truth this time. One of my all-time favorite Kirby Paul Smart post-game quotes. Last time the Dogs played at Commonwealth Stadium. You know what it was?
That was the 13-6 game, right? Or
No, 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 no.
16-6.
Is that right?
That was the
It was 2022.
20. That was the freezing. It was freezing. They just ran the ball the whole time. Yeah, it was 16-6 or something like that.
Wind was blowing a gale. It was like 35-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yeah, it was awful.
They go into Lexington, get a grind out, SEC clinching win to go undefeated in the SEC for
There's
second
that
straight year.
tropicalia we're talking about.
He comes in, they ask him about the game. He says, all that was right there was hellified leadership from this group. Put it on a plaque, baby.
Yeah.
That's another T-shirt. Put that on T-shirt. And it is
So
good as FA. It ain't as good as FAFO, but
it ain't as good as FAFO.
FAFO.
You can have do that in every color with a little red trim around it. Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell y'all too. If I see somebody walking around in an FAFO T-shirt or hat, I'm calling y'all. I'm gonna need the copyright from that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good place to end before I get on another thing. So, all right. Look, this was a lot of fun. If you are in the Atlanta area, bring your behind to Sweet Auburn BBQ tonight. We're fixing to have a good time. People are rolling in. The drinks will be pouring. I can just tell you, I already sampled the food. There ain't gonna be no better place in Atlanta to eat tonight. So bring y'all's behinds out here and hang out. Root for the Dogs. We're gonna call them all night long. It's gonna be a blast. Okay. All right, brother. Well, we're gonna be back. We're gonna be leaning into the bye week a little bit and getting ready for this trip to Tuscaloosa. But until then, brother, ain't nothing finer. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.